we'll do what we did after Vietnam. Well, we pushed the remaining equipment that we didn't think was worth anything into the South China Sea, and we sailed away. And nobody talked about it much anymore. We killed 2 million Vietnamese. We lost 58,000 dead. Well, the Ukrainians have already lost much more than in the last year than we ever lost in Vietnam. But what happened to the 2 million Vietnamese dead? Well, we didn't admit to it until many, many decades later. In fact, I think we said, oh, maybe we killed a couple of 100,000. We just walk away. Remember, we are primarily an aerospace or maritime power. We are not a land power anywhere except in our own hemisphere. So we always have the opportunity when things don't go our way to get on board the aircraft or get on board ship and leave. And the American people have proven repeatedly they have very short memories. And you change the subject and you tell the media to stop talking about it. And if the media doesn't talk about it, well, you go back home to your Barca lounge, you open your can of beer and you watch cable TV. That's what they depend on, the people in Washington. That's what they bet on, that no one will pay any attention. This time, I think it's going to be different because I think Russia is not Serbia. Russia is not Iraq. We are not going to defeat Russia. Russia will have its way in Ukraine. Russia will annihilate the Ukrainian armed forces. This regime will not survive. And as a result, NATO won't survive. NATO will crumble because people in Europe will finally recognize what we've been doing. Waging war overseas at great expense to them and at the expense of their national interests, at the expense of their security, and that Mr. Putin is not Dr. Evil and has no interest in waging war against the rest of Europe. On the contrary, he wants to do business with them. And the Chinese want to get across Central Asia because you want your rail lines to link you in China to railheads in Europe so goods and services can be moved back and forth. You got to have peace and stability for that. Russia has been providing the peace and stability by bolstering people in Central Asia, keeping that place running effectively so the Chinese can build this one belt, one road. We don't want that to succeed. The way to stop this successful trade route is to do what? Create instability and war. The Chinese lose in our estimation and the Russians lose, but in the long run, no. Central Asia is going to be stable. In the long run, those lines are going to open. That trade will occur. We're fighting the inevitable pointlessly, when instead we should be looking at ways to capitalize on it ourselves, to work with the rest of the world. We are seen as people who are completely selfish, completely self-interested, no sympathy for or interested in anybody other than ourselves. That's a very bad reputation to have. Remarkably different from the way the world viewed us 50 years ago.